mortals lived intertwined in a dance of fate, ambition, love, and war. Among the greatest of tales, none is as legendary as that of the fall of the magnificent city of Troy. This is the story of heroes, kings, gods, and the unrelenting pull of destiny that led to one of the most famous wars in all of mythology, the Trojan War. Our tale begins not with men, but with gods. It was at the grand wedding of the sea nymph Thetis and the mortal hero Peleus. All the gods and goddesses of Olympus were invited, save one, Eris, the goddess of discord. Enraged at her exclusion, she devised a plan to sow chaos. With a wicked smile, Eris tossed a golden apple into the midst of the feast, inscribed with the words, "To the fairest." Immediately, 3 goddesses claimed the prize: Hera, queen of the gods; Athena, goddess of wisdom and war; and Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty. Unable to resolve the dispute, they sought the judgment of Paris, a prince of the mighty city of Troy. The goddesses promised Paris great rewards if he chose them. Hera offered him power, Athena promised wisdom and victory in battle. But Aphrodite, in her charm, offered the love of the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen, queen of Sparta. Paris, captivated by Aphrodite's offer, awarded her the golden apple. And so, the seeds of war were sown. Helen, wife of King Menelaus of Sparta, was indeed renowned for her beauty. Her fame stretched across lands and seas, but it was her abduction by Paris that would plunge the world into chaos. With Aphrodite's aid, Paris traveled to Sparta under the guise of diplomacy. There he charmed Helen, and under the cover of night they fled to Troy, igniting the wrath of Menelaus. The betrayal of Paris was not only an offense to Menelaus, but to all of Greece. For Helen had once been courted by many of the Greek kings and heroes. Her father, fearing conflict, had made all suitors swear an oath to defend her marriage, whoever she chose. Now, bound by this oath, Menelaus called upon his brother, Agamemnon, king of Mycenae, to gather the greatest army Greece had ever seen, and to sail for Troy to reclaim Helen and restore honor to Sparta. Word spread across Greece, and soon the greatest heroes answered the call. Among them was Achilles, the greatest warrior of his age, whose mother, Thetis, had dipped him into the river Styx to make him invincible, save for the vulnerable heel by which she held him. There was Odysseus, king of Ithaca, known for his cunning and intellect. Though he initially feigned madness to avoid the war, he was eventually persuaded to join the cause. The mighty Ajax, known for his size and strength, and Diomedes, a fierce warrior, also pledged their allegiance to Agamemnon. Together they led an army that stretched as far as the eye could see. And so, the fleet of 1,000 ships set sail for Troy, their banners flying high and their hearts full of vengeance. For 10 long years, the Greeks laid siege to the walls of Troy. The city, ruled by King Priam, was fortified and protected by its legendary walls, and defended by its own heroes. Chief among them was Hector, Priam's eldest son, and the greatest warrior of Troy. The battles were fierce, and many heroes fell on both sides. In one notable clash, Achilles faced Hector. The gods watched as the 2 warriors circled each other, their fates intertwined. Though Hector fought valiantly, Achilles, fueled by rage and grief over the death of his friend Patroclus, struck him down. Achilles dragged Hector's body around the walls of Troy in a fit of vengeance. But even in his grief, he showed mercy at the behest of King Priam, returning Hector's body for a proper burial. It was a brief moment of humanity in the midst of unrelenting war. Yet even Achilles, invincible though he seemed, was not immune to fate. The gods had foreseen his death, and it came at the hands of Paris. With the aid of Apollo, Paris shot an arrow that struck Achilles in his one vulnerable spot, his heel. And so, the greatest warrior of the Greeks fell, his name echoing through the ages. With Achilles dead, the Greeks seemed to falter. But cunning would soon win the war where strength had failed. It was Odysseus who devised the plan that would finally breach the walls of Troy. The Greeks built a giant wooden horse, hollowed out and filled with their best warriors. Then, feigning defeat, they sailed away, leaving the horse as a supposed offering to the gods. The Trojans, believing the war to be over, brought the horse inside their city as a trophy. They celebrated late into the night, and when the city was asleep, the Greek warriors emerged from the horse. They opened the gates to the returning Greek army, and Troy was sacked and burned. Paris was slain. King Priam was murdered at the altar of Zeus, and the city that had stood proud for so many years was reduced to ashes. The war was over, but the consequences would echo for generations. Helen was returned to Menelaus, though some say she left willingly, while others claimed she had been an innocent victim of Aphrodite's will. Odysseus would spend 10 more years wandering the seas, cursed by the gods, before finally returning home to Ithaca. His tale of struggle and perseverance would become legend in its own right. The Odyssey. As for the surviving Trojans, few were spared. Aeneas, a noble Trojan warrior, fled the burning city, carrying his father on his back. His journey would take him to Italy, where he would eventually found the line that led to the birth of Rome, ensuring that Troy's legacy would live on. The story of Troy is not just a tale of war, but a story of love, betrayal, honor, and the whims of the gods. It is a reminder that even the mightiest cities can fall, that heroes are bound by their fates, and that the echoes of one conflict can shape the course of history for centuries to come. Troy may be gone, but its memory, like the legends of those who fought and died there, endures forever. And so, our tale of Troy comes to an end. The flames of war may have consumed the city, but its legacy will never be extinguished.